Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Schroeder, and tonight I am making the fresh pasta dough. And so already on my clean sanitized counter, I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour with a pinch of salt, and I've just made them into a pile, and I'm trying to make a well, making it like a volcano, but I want it to be nice and solid around the edges so that the eggs don't seep out. In here I have my 2 large eggs, and then I'm starting to put in my 6 egg yolks. And so I still have 2 more eggs left to separate. And I'm just adding or putting the egg whites into this large measuring cup because I'm going to make like an egg white omelet or something out of all these egg whites, probably tomorrow morning. So I just crack my egg and toss the yolk back and forth between the 2 shells, and the egg white just kind of seeps out the bottom. There's 1 egg yolk, and this is my last one here. Then to this egg mixture, I need to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And then I just start mixing it together and getting the dough to combine. Ooh, my egg yolk's gonna burst. All right, wipe off my hands. And I'm gonna grab my oil and a tablespoon. And add that to my eggs. Okay, I'm gonna put this stuff to the side. Take my fork and I'm just going to whisk together my eggs and my olive oil. Sorry you don't get to see my face. I haven't figured out how to prop up my iPad here so you can see my face and what I'm doing. But that's okay. It's all about the cooking. So whisk those together until they're combined. Now, here comes the fun part. We gotta get all of this egg into this pile of dough or of flour. So I'm gonna slowly pour the egg yolks in, using my fork to combine the flour from the outside of this volcano in. So it's kind of globby, and that's okay. Then just keep adding some egg yolk in there and mixing it up. If your volcano breaks and it starts going all over the counter, that's okay. Just use your hands to collect it. Get more flour in there. So this is really fun because you can do it right on your countertop. Now, before I started the video, I washed my countertop with hot soapy water, and then I sprayed a kitchen sanitizer on it, like 401 or like a Clorox bleach or something like that, just because sometimes soap and water is not going to kill all the bacteria on your countertop, and countertops are full of it, especially mine. My kids sit on it, they throw everything up on here, and so it's just always a mess. And so I don't completely trust the cleanliness of my counter until I have sanitized it. And since we're cooking right on here, look at it. This is the first time my little well or volcano has not exploded all over the countertop. That's pretty awesome that you guys get to see this. So I'm gonna use my hand and kind of push the outside in as I'm whisking it to start incorporating more and more flour. I am actually really impressed with myself right now. Usually it's like dripping off the counter for me by now. Oh, there, it's spilling out. So now I'm gonna get my hands dirty. Use my hands and just kind of fold it in on itself, incorporating all of this flour into the egg yolk mixture. It feels really weird. The flour's super soft, and then you've got these cold eggs that are slimy. This is really fun to do with kids or anybody who likes to get their hands dirty in the kitchen. It's okay. So starting to form together into a dough. Take the sticky stuff off my hands. And just keep kneading it. So kneading is a cooking term of folding dough over itself. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold it in half, push down, and try to rotate. This is still pretty loose dough, so it's just about folding it in half and pushing down, rotating it around, working it in on itself. I'm going to be doing this for about 10 minutes here as I need to incorporate all of this together. If it starts to get too sticky, I'm going to add more flour. If it seems really dry, I'm going to just drizzle water over the top just a little bit at a time because I don't want to get it too wet and then have to add more flour because then it's going to turn into a really tough dough. So I'm going to pause this video while I keep kneading and I will turn it back on when it's ready. All right, so my dough is come together really nice. And the way you're going to tell if it's done is if I poke it and it starts to spring back. So this indent is slowly coming back. I'm now going to wrap my dough with saran wrap and let it sit here for about half an hour while I clean up and get things ready for my sauce. All right, and here we are going to make our simple red sauce. So I have a half a white onion diced up really finely. I've got 4 garlic cloves. The recipe calls for 3, but I'm going to add an extra garlic clove. Then I have a 28-ounce can of whole tomatoes, whole peeled tomatoes, and you could buy just tomato sauce. I don't like any of the additives in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the whole peeled tomatoes into a blender, and I'm going to actually bring it over to my blender base. I'm going to blend them up to get them nice and pureed. While I'm doing that, I'm going to heat a couple tablespoons of olive oil in my skillet, and I'm going to get going on that, and I will show you what that looks like. All right, so I have my oil heating up, and I'm going to quick look at my recipe. It just says heat the oil over medium heat. When hot, add the onion and saute, then add the garlic, and then we're going to add the tomatoes, just season with salt and pepper, and then you're going to just let it simmer for about 30 minutes. So super simple, just very few ingredients, but it's just the prep work of getting everything going while we are waiting. And so again, I have my pasta dough resting right here, just room temperature for 30 minutes while we make our sauce. So my oil is pretty warm. I'm gonna toss in my onion. And let that saute. Then I will be back. So our onions are translucent, so they're kind of starting to become see-through, and that's what that means. I'm going to add my garlic cloves, and I'm using a garlic press, which is much easier than just chopping them up with a knife. So I'm going to get 4 of those cloves in. See how it comes out the bottom. Turn down my heat a little bit here. It's starting to brown. It's just my son whistling in the background if you can hear him. Stir this around. Smells delicious. Is that right, camera guy? 1 more garlic clove, then we'll add the tomato. All right. So now we're going to add our pureed tomatoes. Stir the onions and garlic into the tomatoes. At this point, we'd add our seasonings, so I'm going to add some salt and pepper and just some pre-mixed Italian seasoning. Let it simmer. That is just below the boiling point, remember, so little bubbles come up to the surface and pop for about 30 minutes. So while this is simmering, I'm going to work on my pasta dough, and that will be the next part. Here is an accidental time-lapse video of our Alfredo sauce, which is a 1/4 cup butter to 1 cup cream, and then seasonings, and then boiling our noodles until they are al dente, about 2 minutes.